Yeah, hello and welcome to the Banter Blitz show. I think you probably got some audio hint first that I'm going to be online. I just recognized that. Okay, anyway, let's get going here with the show. That looks decidedly odd. Huh. Why is that screwed up? That's not good. And how do I actually change it? That's even the more important part. Let me see. I should probably be able to do it like that. I'm sorry about that. So let's see if we can repair this. And where is the challenge? No. How do I stop the Kevin game? Oh my god, I'm really doing this wrong. So let me cancel this. Okay, we're getting there. And now Bogdan Girmasea, probably completely doing this wrong as well. But now we have a proper game window, right? And we can play some chess. Ooh. There were some scary moments at the very beginning. Yeah, I knew what the issue is. Sometimes it doesn't really capture the right window. But just a moment there. So, okay. Again, sorry for the somewhat bumpy start. I did make a small test before and it was doing right. Everything looked good, but really a bit strange there. Okay guys, how are you there in the chat? I don't see a single message after the start of the stream. I hope everything is fine. And yeah, I'm playing a Catalan here. I'm sorry, I'm still a little bit caught up here with the whole technical side of things, but we're getting there. So also have now launched a view of the chat on YouTube and Twitch. So slowly but surely I can actually look at the actual game. So yeah, this is a fairly solid variation that Black played. Very early b6. I maybe did not choose the best possible move order. That's certainly possible. Okay, knight e5. I don't mind to trade on g2. White has one big goal in this kind of situation here, to prevent c5. If you can prevent c5, the position becomes strategically extremely difficult for Black. Okay, yeah, so he's just retreating the knight, which is a very passive choice. Yeah. Knight c6 is possible for sure, but I think rook c1 is also a good move. It's already a bit difficult for Black to play c5. Oh, interesting. I don't really mind if he takes on f4. Yeah, that doubled pawn is not a real weakness. Quite frequently is that something that you get in the Catalan, and that is what we have on the board here. But I can also just take and play play queen to b3. Yeah, it's a tough call. I think I'm better in both cases. I have to be a little bit circumspect with the time. I'm usually in some time trouble in the 3-minute without increment games, but this time I lost a bit of speed at the very beginning while I was addressing the technical problems. The position here is fantastic. I'm basically winning a pawn. Yeah, I think I can simply pile up on that pawn and win it. I want to win it in a more convenient way. I could have taken instead of rook c1 already, but there's just no way for him to save it. So I mean, I don't need to rush anything. The e2 pawn sometimes is under fire by the rook, yeah, something like that. But I can simply play e3. Yeah, simply e3. My bishop doesn't have that many squares, but I can take, which is a pretty good square, winning a pawn in the process. One additional problem here for a black is that I did not really appreciate that move. Is that d5 is weak, but just as I wanted to complete that thought, he played rook e6 and I think forced me to capture, which repairs this issue. I'm still just a pawn up and have the much better chances. I'm going to play for e4 and g4. It would be good to get in both. He doesn't take it. Okay, I don't want to give him any activity. Therefore, I'm activating the bishop first and ultimately e4. Yeah, pawn takes as king g5. It's probably not ideal. And now I'm opening up the path for the king. I think it's best first to put the pawn to f5. And then, okay, let's fix the pawn there. I'm not sure if that was good technique actually. Yeah, I mean, one thing, the time, yeah, I'm winning on time anyway. All right, thanks for the game, Bogdan Girmasea, which is probably not perfectly pronounced. Okay, XX Clemens. Okay, why not? Anybody who's completely new? I'm too clumsy to scroll. So let's play Clemens here. Only played him once before. E6 is a fairly reasonable pre-move. In a bullet game I would pre-move that. Yeah, hello to Steiner in the YouTube chat. He says glad to catch a stream for a change. Yeah, this is the usual starting time, but it is really not so easy because I'm traveling really quite a bit recently, so quite often the Monday doesn't work out or the whole week doesn't work out, so it's a bit difficult to say this is the normal time because there are pretty often exceptions to that norm. Yeah, Clemens here somehow went into a line that is a bit dubious for white, because now whatever happens, it's going to be a little bit unfavorable for white. In this case, I'm winning a pawn, the c4 pawn, queen takes, queen c4, and the compensation is not really sufficient, even though it's not so terrible for white. People quite often stumble into this and then actually get a little bit of compensation, because white's play is fairly simple. You castle, rook c1, and I lose a bit of time with the queen, and there is pressure on c7. There's a question in the chat. Is it Mishok? Mishok, I guess. What's my favorite chess book? I don't think I can quote one. There are really too many to name. And even though recently there was a post on Twitter about the book The King by Jan Hein Donner, which is really a fantastic book. If you want a book about chess that has real chess and you want to enjoy very, very sharp and witty writing, The King is your book. This is the one. I have it basically ready here because I had a look through it over the weekend when that quote was on Twitter. It's an older book. I mean, it's full of Donner's annotations from the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. He died in 1988, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, clearly it's a little bit, it's older, and therefore you cannot expect like a modern day standard analysis. There is no computer checks or whatever, but that's not the point. Donner was a very witty and very pointed writer, and he was often using his writing to basically make fun of other Dutch players that he did not really appreciate, or he was simply giving statements that were outrageous. And nowadays I think if you imagine some of the things that he said, they would be very, very unusual in a chess magazine. Yeah, he would openly state like, if you read opening analysis by this and that player, you know it's going to be wrong, stuff like that. And that were different times when you did not have engines. Nowadays you can have to think about this a little bit here. He's really having lots of pressure here. Knight takes c6 now is a possibility. Not so great, really. Bishop b7 or so, he takes on c6. Sorry, he plays knight d7. Pretty bad, pretty bad. That was the time before engines, and nowadays you can settle things like that by simply switching on the computer. Like if you say, okay, the analysis or whatever of this and that person is not good, this is wrong, you switch on the engine and you know what's going on. And back then you couldn't conclusively prove things. Yeah, you could of course argue with lines and stuff, but ultimately it was very difficult to get a really clear idea what was going on. And at the time you could write stuff like, if there's analysis by whatever, by Tal, it's going to be incorrect. I mean, this is just like an amazing statement nowadays. If you just imagine, there would be someone doing an annotation and he would write, if the annotation is by, I don't know, Wesley, so it's always wrong. This is just like unthinkable nowadays. And what was a typical Donner statement. And of course he also had many things that he was saying that were just plain not only politically incorrect but also just wrong in many cases. But it was it was always witty, and it was always interesting. It was not boring ever. In any case, Clemens here is doing a really good job of making my life difficult. This position is definitely not great, and I have to at some point make sure that I'm not getting back rank mated. So let's play g6. There's a good question if I'm planning to upload videos in my channel or covering the candidates somehow. I haven't thought about it. I really haven't thought about it at all. The thing is that I'm currently working on a very demanding project, and we have finished, or I finished one important stage of that project, but there is very likely stuff to do in March, and that would be exactly at the time of the candidate. So it's possible that I do something, but I probably have to work on that project. And it's frankly speaking, I mean, I'd like to cover the candidates, so don't get me wrong, but the project that I'm doing is a little bit more important for me. Yeah, and I'm still getting completely killed here. I can take d4, but at the end he's got rook a8, and then I'm toast. Great. Yeah, I don't know. My position is just very bad. The only thing that I have is that I got more time, and this is a non-increment. We've seen in the Banter Blitz Cup how important the time is in the non-increment time controls. Yeah, I'm not sure if I could have taken. His position is really bad. Yeah, I can take him. He's got a draw, of course, after rook a1. Tja. It's very difficult to even imagine to win on position, so he offered me a draw, and I think he deserves it badly, yeah? Very, very well. I rook d1, yeah, but still, well, what does that do? I don't think I could take on d4. Really don't. Where was that again? Here? I cannot take here. At the end there's always rook a8. Ah, okay, I have to check here. Yeah, you're correct, you're correct. Because here I'm pinning, so there's no bishop a6. I had this bishop a6 idea in my mind, but this is of course not the case. I mean, I'm also not lost, but it's probably it's not nothing special, but I should take them. Yeah, thanks for the game, Clemens. Now let's start the new game, and then there's some questions in the Mishok. Never played him, no, right? So that's a good question in the Twitch chat. If I have I had actually have accepted, but nothing happens. It's a little bit strange. Can do a refresh. Huh. What's going on here? I hope the stream does work. I don't even see challenges. Very strange. Yeah, the web page is loading very, very slowly, if at all, yeah. So now I see a challenges tab, but I'm not even sure if I can click it. What the heck? I mean, I just think now maybe. I know that they're developing stuff. I mean, I heard things, but it shouldn't lead to this kind of situation. I cannot even take a challenge. It's really odd. Now I can take a challenge, but there is a game going somewhere, it seems. So I have to refresh the whole thing again. The thing is, I cannot actually take a challenge because somewhere like in the back a game is already running, which I cannot, it seems, return to. Yeah, sorry about that. I tried to get to the starting position, but I cannot return to a live board. That would help. No. Really weird. I don't even see the challenges at this point. Ah, da. Zurück zur Partie. Back to the game. Okay. Maybe that helps. Yeah, I cannot click anything. Yeah, this way it doesn't make all that much sense, really. I can click back to the game, but it doesn't even happen. Aha! Now we have a board. It's a good first step. It's not that I can see anything more, I just see the blank board. And Mishok has played a move. Can we actually play a game? We can try. No, we can actually play. Okay, so that's good. Mishok play Nimzo. Okay, so sorry guys. There was a question if there's a recommendation on a general principle opening book. I don't really know, honestly. I'm not sure that what you exactly need from such a book. I mean, things like yeah, development, control of the center. Do you need a particular book for those kind of things? I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking about it while I'm playing, if there is something that I could recommend, and don't quite have an idea. I think there were some books some years ago by John Watson where he was discussing some openings on a more general level. But I don't quite even remember how what the names of the books were, and it's some years ago. Okay, so trade. Yeah, there's a good question also. Yeah, that's true. Hermann Groten has those books, the chess strategy for club players and attacking chess for club players, but not opening. It was an opening specific question. Those books are good, but it's not about opening. And there's a question by Erdgast here in the chat on Chess24. If I have something planned, like keep it simple against 1d4, is this possible, and so on. Yeah, this is certainly going to happen actually, but it's not decided when. As I said, I'm currently working on something else entirely, not even an opening product. And then the next thing after that is going to be keep it simple 1c4. This is already clear that I'm going to do that, and I will also do keep it simple for black. That is also clear, but I have not decided on any details, or not even when, what time frame. Absolutely unsure. Yeah, I'm not sure if I should play knight d7, but I wanted to free my position. And I don't know, he can take a6, but Yeah, right. John Watson, who has written a couple of books on the French defense, he also wrote some more opening focused books, but on general terms. Not, I think, do I have one of those books? Not sure. But it's some years ago, and it was not on a super basic level. Like, I mean, how much do you need? Yeah, if it's about like develop your pieces, stuff like that, you don't need a book for that, really. How is he stopping the b pawn? That's going to be tricky. Miktal asks if I play the French. Yeah, I did play it a lot years ago, but my score was so terrible I abandoned it, and it was one of the better decisions of my chess career. Not because the opening is so terrible. It's just like I'm just a bad French defense player. I just don't understand it. I always had bad results and often simply awful positions. I think the French defense is an opening that you really have to you have a particular skill set for. You have to understand some things very well. And I mean, there are types of openings where I think everybody should be able to play it. It's a matter of like general kind of understanding and so on. If somebody tells me they have absolutely no clue to, I don't know, how to play an open position, then something is wrong with their chess. But the French defense is a bit special because you have to handle this space disadvantage and so on. It's very particular kind of position type. Thanks for the game, Mishok. Okay, I didn't focus much on that game. I was too caught up in questions. Was there a way? No, I don't think so. Teja, Syrian, James Stephen. It's a new opponent. James Stephen. Okay. Yeah, we knew that at some point this one is going to happen, yeah? This line. I think it is. Mastering the Chess Openings. Wow, there's 4 volumes by Watson. I didn't know that it was so many books. Yeah, James here is opening the center quite quickly. Interesting strategy. There's a question by Battery Bob regarding the Old Indian, if this is a good opening. It's played by some German players like Jörg Hickel and Erik Zude. Yeah, I think they even have written a book on it. Yeah, 1d6 against everything, something along these lines. Yeah, it's tough to say. I'm not a particular fan of the Old Indian, but I mean, there's one thing that you simply have to acknowledge in a way. If you want to reach an untheoretical position, a position where the knowledge of concrete variations is not so important, you kind of have to make some sort of concession. You're not going to play the Grunfeld if you want to. I mean, if you want to like keep it simple in a way, you cannot play something like the Grunfeld or the modern Benoni. A kind of system type approach like the Old Indian is probably what you're going to do. There's nothing theoretically terribly wrong about the old Indian, but I mean, it's kind of a slightly passive opening that you can play if you know the strategic points well. What's going on here? I'm taking this. I think I can. Yeah, I can also take the knight, and I want to do that because the knight seems like the more capable defender at the moment. I mean, his king position is very, very much opened. ERWT64 says, it seems to me that keeping it simple requires shiploads of knowledge. Yeah, it's always a bit difficult if you like the keep it simple label can be tricky, absolutely. As I jokingly said during a meeting in Weikernsee, when somebody asked me the same thing, like, what exactly does keep it simple mean? And I said the best way to name the books probably is something like keep it reasonably simple while still posing some problems. So this title is a bit too long. Of course you can keep it simpler, but then you're getting to the point where you don't need an opening book at all. If you play let's say with white, I don't know, d3, knight d2, e4, knight f3, like a reversed Philidor or something, then you don't need a book. I mean, people have written books on that even. There's a book currently out. But I mean, if you don't want to pose a problem at all, then you can even get away with less than the lines of my Keep It Simple books. But I wanted to kind of hit this this compromise that you can still pose some problems. Oh, he's actually threatening to take, because then knight takes. There's this stupid knight thing, like bishop takes, knight takes, h6, and the pawn promotes. Have to be. I could have just taken. That was silly. I completely forgot that I could take. This is really a case of forgetting, because I saw it at the very beginning. Usually forgetting is a nicer way to say that you overlooked it, but I had really seen it at the beginning of the line. In any case, James is overstepping the time. Yeah, thanks for the game, James Stephen from Ecuador, right? Ecuador. All right, now Chesobert is challenging me. He had a much higher rating, I believe. Must have lost some games. I hope the game does start. Really, the starting of the game is currently processed in the background, or I think it is. Oh, site is pretty slow at the moment. I'm not sure. The game is just not starting. There's a question. If I play the Caro-Kann, very occasionally, I sometimes do play it when I'm fairly sure that my opponent does not play the advanced variation, because that is theoretically very demanding. I think most other variations you can sort of get by. Maybe I should refresh. Maybe that helps. I don't know. It's very strange. Is that the new game now then that I actually had to try to start? It's very odd. Again, I cannot accept a new challenge. Maybe I can leave that game and start a new one? I don't know. Now, back to the game. Does that work? I mean, at least I've got a chessboard, but I cannot play. Here's a question. Why is the Reti so unpopular these days? I don't know. Is it so unpopular? I tried to start a new game here against Chari 007. But is that a new game? Yeah. Yeah, ChessExplained's board is frozen. Maybe we got some technical issues, so you can easily challenge me again and we can play later. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure sometimes why particular openings are popular or not. For example, if you see the very, very tiny edges that sometimes people get in 1e4 openings at the top level, you really wonder, is the Reti really worse? Yeah, probably not, but it's still not in the focus all that much. I forget about this. Knight c3 or bishop b2, not sure. Mishok asks, if I will have a bullet portion at the end of the stream? I usually don't, because like in bullet you have a hard time to talk about the games. Okay, so a little bit back to the game here. We have a Tarrasch defense to the Queen's Gambit. Via transposition, I played knight d4, knight f3, g3, as I often do. And what I recommend in the Keep It Simple d4 book. So here I'm pretty happy. This is an isolated queen pawn position. The d5 pawn is rather weakish. And the only thing going for black currently is the weakened c3 square. So he might play knight c3 at some point. I'm already pretty happy with the trades. Got some good trades of minor pieces, which is usually quite desirable if you play against an IQP, because that reduces the dynamic potential of that IQP. Here the pawn is completely blockaded. My queen on d4 is pretty good blockader actually. Usually you say the queen is not a good blockader, but this is oftentimes a bit too dogmatic. I mean, the queen on d4 is certainly not badly placed. I wonder if he can play, I have thought rook c4. Anyway, so I can play queen e5, trade queens, or knight f4 is also not a bad move. Yeah, maybe maybe queen e5. He can avoid the trade with queen d7, but that, no, maybe it's not so bad. Yeah, okay, let's correct this. Queen d7 is actually pretty reasonable defense. Yeah, I don't know if I should trade here. Often you want to keep the rooks on, but I don't quite see what else I can do here on the c-file. Okay, now how do we play? Knight e2, maybe going towards d4 or c3. This is a very comfortable situation for white because black is condemned to a fairly passive defense. But it's not clear that I can win. Oh, I'm sorry. I have no mute button for that microphone. Sorry for that. Or sorry about that. I think it's better English. Yeah, this is now a problem for black e4. Just winning the d5 pawn for not much. Also, one thing that I wanted to address, there was the question if I would cover the candidates on my YouTube channel. I did lots of tournament coverage like years ago, like 2011, 2012, 2013, when chess on YouTube was and on Twitch was basically in its infancy. Nowadays you can see so much, watch so much, and the candidates will be covered, I think, fantastically well by all the sources. Chess24 will certainly have game of the day and so on, and probably also a live coverage. I don't know who's going to be involved. I think sadly, or I suspect, Peter Svidler will not be involved, as he, I think, has some job to do there. This is at least what transpired in Wijk, that he would be a second for some player. Maybe Alexeyenko, I don't know. Not really an expert, but they worked together before. That's the only thing that I know. So I'm not, I don't know, spoiling anything there or help anybody. So I suspect that he's not going to be involved. I prepared Queen c5. And even FIDE will probably have some reasonable commentary. Like Miroshnichenko, for example, is usually quite good. But I have not really studied this. So one point was that, like back then when I did this game of the day stuff, there were no real alternatives. So it was just like a couple of chess channels who were doing things, and nowadays all the big players are involved. So I have to say that in some way I feel if I would do some candidate coverage, I wouldn't really add much, is what I'm trying to say. So I would only do what others already have done or do at the same time. So I cannot really add much. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Yeah, now it's worked fine, because he did not expect me to take with the queen. I would have been better anyway. I'm not sure if I was winning if he would have traded queens here. Like, sorry, that was queen e4. Yeah, so if he would trade here, bishop takes. The reason why I think it's still close to winning is that I have bishop b7, so I'm probably going to win a6. Okay, thanks for the game, Tari007. Anta challenges me, and Akiko. Let's take this. Akiko Magnin. Complicated username. I did not see a Feruzia Grundelicious game. Nope, did not see it. Where was that played? Was it in Prague, or they both played in Prague, right? Akiko. No, I don't think I saw that game. Not really. I saw some games from Prague. Yeah, I'm not sure if Akiko is not playing or if there is a technical issue. So I'm going to take a new game or start a new game and or try to start a new game. DR4 Khan. I did not see it. No. I think Rondelius had a pretty rotten tournament. That's what I saw. Knight H3. What on earth? I will play this anyway. Yeah, this is not helping, you know. Yeah, the problem here is not just, I mean, the bishop on h4 is obviously trapped, but the knight on h3 is also trapped. So if he takes bishop takes, pawn takes, the knight on h3 simply has nowhere to go. So I'm winning at least a piece, maybe even more. Yeah, it's a bit too late now to think. It's already completely lost. I did not see that game. I mean, what is written in the chat is that Ferrugia calculated very deep variation in endgame, and that sounds very believable. He's really an excellent calculator. Yeah, thanks for the game, DR4 Khan. Yeah, he saw that he is losing just too much material. I try to play, yeah, against Akiko again. Let's see if white is playing now. Yep. Okay, so let's play a Sicilian. Yeah, there's a remark in the chat that I should change my screen setup and so that you can read the rating of the other player if the name is too big. Yeah, that sometimes happens. If in the very, very distant future I have time to focus on stuff like that, I will fix it. Which will probably mean never. Maybe. Very likely. Yeah, what can you do here? You can actually make that smaller. That is possible. So here I won a pawn. An important pawn. The e4 pawn. Okay, so let's get more pawns in the center and see if I can quickly play rook b8. Okay, now finally I'm developed. That's good. The whole action here took a bit of time, so now I've got everything nicely covered here. Here, no, probably rook here. He tries for some counter play, and it's not so bad, really. So let's play f5 and make sure that he does not play f5 himself. Nah, I will take this, giving me more pawns. There's really no reason not to take it. Where is the counterplay here for the pawn? One issue is that whenever he takes on d5, I recapture and then d6 is hanging. I keep saying he, but Akiko, could that be female? Could be a female name, huh? I don't know. Not really well versed with Japanese names, and I think that's Japanese probably. How many pawns am I up actually? 1, 2, 3. I got 7 and white has got 5. Okay. This is all cool, but what about my rook? Ouch. Is my rook getting trapped? I think it is, right? I only have b7 and then bishop a6 hits. So I'm going to b8. I'm actually not very concerned because if he takes it or she takes it, then at the end of the day I will win c5, and then I have so many pawns in a formidable pawn chain that I don't really care about the exchange being lost. Yeah, white is not quite happy with taking the exchange, it seems. Yeah, I keep offering it. Maybe I should at one point actually move the rook away. Yeah, correctly assessing that if I move it away, there's bishop b7, so this is actually not that nice. I would rather give it for the dark squared bishop. Maybe rook b1 is a good move. But then I can probably take and play bishop c8 actually. And now I can also play this active move. I have a check on g4, king d4. I would really like to construct a mate somehow. Or please take my exchange or something. It doesn't want to take my exchange. Yeah, regarding Firouzja's deep calculation at 15 moves as it... Oh, wow. I wanted to take on e2, but he has cd5 with a check. Holy moly. It's kind of amazing. Huh. Regarding this, I have not seen it as mentioned, so I'm not really able to yeah, give a qualified opinion about it. But one thing that you always have to keep in mind is, for a very strong player, and I'm not saying like Firouzja's strength even much lower, it's not so much the depth in calculation that can be tricky, but simply the number of possible lines. If it's a very straightforward variation with not that many ways to deviate, it's not so difficult to calculate a deep line. I mean, I've also had some fairly deep calculations in my games, like 10-15 moves that happened, but it was very, very like only move, only move, only move. That is not so difficult. It is often far more problematic for stronger players to very nice. Yeah, he's completely murdering me here. Yeah, now ready to promote. Just too slow. The H pawn is my only hope. King d5. Run! 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 Run, Forest, run. It's a counter check, like in the movies. Yeah, so often it is not so difficult for stronger players to have a deep line with just very few branches, that even a bad calculator like I am can sometimes do that, but it is often extremely difficult if you have, let's say it's like 4 or 5 moves, let's say, but then there are tons of branches, and that always, at least me, it confuses me to no end. I mean, no end. So that is often more difficult. Again, I'm not referring to the Firouzja game that I don't know, but it's just like sometimes you think that the depth is a problem. That is not really a problem. The very strong players can basically calculate almost yeah, infinitely deep. They are more irritated sometimes by little nuances at the very beginning or things like that. No, I'm not working on keep it simple knight f3. It's also quite difficult actually to do. Keep it simple, one knight f3. In particular, if you have already written d4 and c4 is not written yet, but in the works, because there are so many potential move orders. Yeah, okay, I'm playing Schellingford here, and we have a English symmetrical double fianchetto. A fairly equalish type of line. Okay, so I still have this annoying knight on d5. It's not so easy to handle here for black. Black tries to play b5 if possible. It's kind of a non-move really. Queen d4. Knight d5, I have cd5, and here I'm going to play this intermediate move. Yeah, maybe I should have taken with the rook. It's a fairly equalish position. Unless I'm overlooking anything in particular. I'm threatening actually knight takes d6 here. Now a pawn takes queen f6. Yeah, that is a threat. It's a bit of a threat. But almost any reasonable move by black is probably stopping it. Like, I'm not sure what he's going to do. It's a bit surprising, this one. Book suggestion, keep it complex. Yeah, it's not wrong if you look at the Negi books. Yeah, they are complicated. I have not yet understood what the target group is for this kind of book. The people who need this kind of depth simply wouldn't use a book anyway. But I mean, okay, may I have a little bit of pressure? A little bit of pressure. Okay, now knight b6 doesn't do much. Yeah, I think I have to cover all those critical squares. Still equalish. Okay, what is he doing there? Knight e4 maybe? I wonder about this move. It's a bit weakening. Yeah, that can be a problem. I don't know. Knight e4, d2, something like that. I'm not quite sure what he's doing here. He tries to somehow play for loss here somehow. It's I'm not sure if I'm winning here, but it's pretty close. Knight a5 is pretty awful here. It's to be pretty precise to not immediately lose. Pretty awful. Knight a5 is it's pretty bad. If the queen moves, there's b7. I don't see a move really for black. Yeah, I thought this would be strong. Like queen back, I have queen b5 check. That must be good. Yeah, wherever he goes, there's some kind of bad fork or b7 or whatnot. Yeah, you have a bit of pressure in this line. Yeah, thanks for the game, Shelling. Yeah, a bit of pressure. I mean, I always think that if you have this kind of thing, it's like a marginally better position for white. It's pretty solid, of course, but white is a little bit simpler here to play. Okay, now Vangset Kali. Vangset Kali. It takes a bit of time till the game is started. Vangset Kali. Is that from India? No. Sounds a little bit Indian. I don't know. Probably wrong kind of assumption. So let's get a Sveshnikov on the board, like in the style of the Fight Like Magnus course. Okay. Bishop e2 is rare. I think probably because here it's a bit tricky now for white to make a move. I'm threatening b4 to win the knight. Maybe knight d5 is actually possible. I mean, I wanted to take, but maybe there is bishop f3. But I can cover that. I mean, if you can take a center pawn, you should usually do that. Interesting. c4. Okay, I'm trying to kick the knight back. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a comment here by Tom Petty in the chat that the Magnus picture is really looking like he wants a fight. Yeah, this is when they, I mean, when we're developing the course, of course, I was focusing on the chess, and at some point the production manager for the whole thing, that's the right word, he said, you know, we need a picture, and he said like, we have got exactly the right picture, and then he showed it to me. I was like, yes, this is exactly the picture that you want for a course that has fight in the title. I can at least try a proper pronunciation. I won't manage, but I can at least try. Okay, so this one, he does not want me to castle. Yeah, rook a7. One reason was I wanted the rook out of the queen's scope. I would still like to castle. Yeah, have to castle by hand then. Rook c8 coming. Of course, I don't mind a queen trade, and he doesn't want it. I was close to playing queen d3, which would blunder a lot. Let's not do that. F4, I got E4. Q. Let's do it. Was attacking A5. It's not particularly relevant, but also no need to give him that pawn. Oh, that was the point. I was like, what is he doing here? Just wanted to grab this pawn. Okay. Yeah, and now the d7 rook is hanging, so I should probably cover it. And I still have c4 under attack. Okay, I should finally use that bishop. Okay, I'm just going to cut off the queen. The white queen has no square. Okay. My idea is to play bishop to what? I can take, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but rook c1 was not exactly a move that I had on the radar. He has to trade queens now, which makes it fairly simple to win. Or not. Now let's get the pawns going. Yeah, he simply continues. Which, I mean, everybody is entitled to, just like in the context of such a show, I think it's not such a bad idea to resign such a position so that we get, that more people get the opportunity to play, because, I mean, I can do that. Now, the only thing that I have to be a little bit on the lookout for is the opposite colored, the wrong colored bishop. It's a dark squared bishop, and but he's not even trying. Like, I shouldn't take, because the h pawn. Oh wait, and I shouldn't create. Now that I'm giving a speech here, I shouldn't stalemate him. Yeah, the g-pawn wins pretty easily. Yeah, thanks for the game, Wangset Carly. Right. Played a draw against him at some point. Okay. Now, Ari FD, Teja Ravi, Teja Ravi. I only have one all. One all. Okay. Yeah, I got black against Teja. It's not playing currently, but it also might be due to technical constraints. Definitely going to wait a moment there. Okay, so again a Sicilian. Really happy with the lines from Fight Like Magnus. Playing this all the time in my games. 2 weeks ago I had the first... Really? Okay. I had the first Sveshnikov in one of my tournament games for a long time. I didn't have it on the board for a long time, and played a draw against a FIDE master. I would have liked more. We played a very solid variation, and I actually made a wrong assessment at some point, and no, that is wrong. Tom Petty says, or asks about my opinion about Alekhines defense, and a friend of him said that it is just as bad as the Owens. No, no. The Owens is pretty bad. E4, B6. I think this is something where white can hope for a considerable advantage. And in the Alekhines, the main issue with the Alekhines is not really that it is so bad. It isn't. It is just like if white knows the theory, and we're talking about mostly problems on a higher level, white will almost always be a little bit better, like this nagging smallish advantage. And this is not the problem of the Owen. In the Owen's defense, if white knows critical lines, you're just getting mauled. I mean, what I have against the Owens in my keep it simple e4 is already pretty bad, but you can even think about tackling this more aggressively, if you like. But I mean, e4, b6 is a kind of thing. It could work like in a single game because people are not prepared. But playing this when the other guy knows even that's going to happen, I think then it's borderline unplayable. Note that I'm talking about e4, b6 and d4, b6, not about knight f3, b6 or c4, b6, because these are rather playable, and I have played actually. Yeah, this is 2 bishops against 2 knights, which is normally spelling some trouble for the knights. He's defending quite well. There's a question in the... I don't even know what chat that is. Is that like this Periscope stuff? I don't know that platform, to be perfectly honest. I just only recently learned that we use that. The question is if I have played Hikaru. I did. Not for a long time, but I played him a lot in the old ICC days. I think one of my most viewed videos on my YouTube channel is against Hikaru when I won. When I won a game, one of very, very few games that I won against Nakamura. My score must be like, I don't know, 60-5 or something in his favor. But I was lucky to catch one of the wins on video. No, fight like Magnus is a chessable course, so it's not on the Chess24 website. So I'm going to just gain more space here. And now the question here is if I want to play g3 and then attack the g2 pawn, or I want to take. I think I want to take in this particular case, because bishop g2 is coming. That's true. Yeah, my most viewed video is the cheater video, which was the only video that I ever made that was somewhat viral. Yeah, somewhat. That was even on one of the front pages of Reddit, which helped. Yeah, I think Hikaru got a bit triggered in that game that I won, that I drew some arrows on the board, which I think he feels is his trademark or something. I really did not think about this at the time. I mean, I was just drawing arrows because I always drew arrows. Yeah, in any case. I actually never really felt that what Nakamura did back then was, I don't know, terrible behavior or so, because, you know, nobody likes to lose in particular. And I know that in particular in the first seconds after loss, I can be also a bit of an ass. I mean, I take a bit of time. I need like 10 seconds or so, and then I'm good again. But the first seconds, it's also tricky for me. It could be the moment where I say something really unfriendly, and then I'm good again, because I then rationalize, okay, I got outplayed, everything's good. But the first moments are always a bit tricky, so I don't know. No, I sometimes, if I'm playing like online and it's not on video, I sometimes can say something like, oh, whatever, yeah. I mean, it's, I do understand. I wouldn't really send text messages. I never did that, or insult people over the board. And it makes no sense. This is like, if you insult somebody over the board, I mean, you have enough time to think about what you're saying, but sometimes if it's online, you're kind of, maybe, yeah, the FFL situation, you know. I wouldn't say FFL, but like, what on earth? So okay, now we've got 5 minutes here. Oops. Any quick game, like a 2-minute challenge, or like 1 or 2 bullet games? Yeah, I got really lucky to have that win on video, because I won like 50, I lost probably 50, 60 games against Nakamura. We played quite a bit back then, because there were, oops, what am I doing here? I just switched to French. That makes no sense. Oh my God. I'm just too stupid to click. Ah yeah, there's a 1-minute game. I don't think I have a YouTube video when I played against Magnus. That must be somebody else. Oops, what's going on here? I probably could have used this somehow, his move order. But I didn't. It's a bullet game. It's kind of difficult, yeah, to play a bullet game and try to get some beverage here. I probably shouldn't do that. It's kind of tricky. Oh. I can take. I think I should, huh? It's too much material. Okay, I think we're good here with this game. Maybe one more bullet game after that. I think who was that? Eric Rosen? I think Eric Rosen has won against Magnus even. I only played Magnus when he was like 10 years old on the ICC. And those games are definitely lost. That was far before I did any videos at all. And the games are not in the ICC archives anymore. It's something that I checked at some point because I was curious about the games. Yeah, thanks for the game, Arun. I think I can play one more bullet game against Katzenpfote. There was also Area 51. Okay, I was too late. I saw it too late. He's in the chat, but too late. Sorry. I don't know what Eric played against Magnus to win. I have d3, of course. That was silly. Got the wrong move order here. It's still fairly good for white, but not as good as it could have been. Yeah, I mean, the games versus Magnus 10-year-old were kind of mixed. I knew that I lost games because at the time nobody knew that this is going to be a future world champion. When you see the notes there on the server that you're playing a 10-year-old kid from Norway, you think it's a prank. And that's what I did, of course, back then. And 3 years later, when he was winning the C group in Vike, you knew it wasn't a prank. Nice little mate here. Yeah, thanks for the game, Katzenpfote. So we finished the English language stream, and I'm going to continue with the German show, the Geschwätzblitz. I have to think about that. The Geschwätzblitz in just a second. We're already a little bit too late, actually. So I think I'm going to be online again next week, and hope to see you then, or in the German show if you're willing to listen to me in a language you don't understand, or if you're actually a German speaker. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.